works. I can tell you from having done this for the whole of the pandemic that if you join a Zoom call and you are trying to talk, even if you can hear the people on the other end, and of course I always can, if I am trying to talk and they can't hear me and my correct mic is set and my little microphone's indicator is not flashing showing that audio is passing through, that what you have to do to solve that problem is you have to exit the Zoom call and rejoin the Zoom call. So there's your tech tip for today: how to survive on Zoom in pandemic time.
Oh, my microphone's on. You heard the thunking as I was coming upstairs.
I didn't.
Yeah, Zoom probably said, that's not loud enough. Okay. There we go. We're in the pre-show.
We are in the pre-show.
Says so right here, and anything that you read on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, anything you see there must be correct. Let's see if we're any of those places. I'm out of breath running up the stairs. Yeah, there's the YouTube. There's the Facebook. There's the Twitter. We're everywhere. Got a minute and 45 to talk about our pre-show stuff.
Yep, you wanted to talk about how you got a takedown.
Yeah. Oh, no big surprise. Last week's show, we played a lot of music. And if you were looking for us on Facebook, we weren't there. I put a note to tell you that we weren't there. But good old Warner Music Group. I filed the dispute, as usual, and they get a week. They have said nothing. It expires tonight. Last week's show, which is fish wrap, basically. Last week's show is will pop back up on Facebook, but I put a link to the YouTube. We got monetizations up the wazoo. Everybody, almost everybody who did, who I had music on YouTube filed monetization. Interestingly, the klezmer stuff, they don't care. Mm-hmm. And Randy Rainbow didn't care. They don't want the 10 cents they might get from people watching this show. But good old Warner Music Group blocked the video in Cuba, Syria, Iran, and North Korea, but not here. Go figure. And many shows ago, Sarah Wagner mentioned that she thought there was a 15-second thing about using music. And I said, no, oh no, there's nothing, there's not that. There is that. One place.
Oh, she was right.
She was sort of right. In TikTok has worked to deal with the music groups that you can use music in your TikTok. I don't know. I vaguely remember what I looked up said 15 seconds worth, but I don't know if that's accurate. And I don't know if it's everybody, but it's sort of the camel's nose under the door. Or the foot in the tent. I'm doing my best to mix metaphors and have you correct me.
I'm going to go with the foot in the tent because I believe in it.
It's a camel's nose under the tent, isn't it?
This is one I've never heard of.
Oh, the camel. If the camel sticks its nose, if you let the camel stick its nose under your tent, pretty soon you'll have a camel in your tent.
Sounds like if you give a child a cookie, if you give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah, there's a lot of similar things like that. So, okay, so that's my pre-show stuff. You got any?
No. Other than happy holidays, happy fourth night of Hanukkah tonight, which will start as soon as this show is over, or actually mid-show. But we are waiting to light candles until the show is over.
Okay,
and
you could light them on the show.
We could light them on the show. It's going to make for some very interesting TV as I drag this teeny tiny tablet upstairs to light them. But if you hold on a second, I'm going to bellow, and I will see if Mom would like to do that.
Let me turn you down a little bit. Go ahead. Oh, she turned herself off. She muted herself. Mom! Mom's paying no attention as Mom is
on her way down.
Okay.
Mom, the Triangle Talk Show has asked us to light the fourth night of Hanukkah candles on camera. Is that something you would be interested? She's nodding. Yes. Come nod. Yes.
But we have to wait about another hour.
Yes. We will do it at the right time.
Yes, sure.
Okay, Gary.
All right.
You get your really awkward TV.
Hey, perfect.
We'll do it right here.
Excellent.
Rather than move everything.
Well, I can take this upstairs, Mama, and
As you're taking it, they'll see.
yes, I can mute my video if you don't want them to see your house.
I can
will
switch
mute
you
my
off.
video.
Yeah, I can switch you off.
Yeah, Gary's willing to work with you. We're gonna make this happen.
I don't know if this will be the only television show.
I'm on. It's on.
Yeah,
You can be on the.
Oh, you're broadcasting right
Yes, we are.
now? Okay. They'll see me later.
Okay. Gary's waving bye at you. Mom is waving bye.
hi or bye. Aloha.
Combat this house.
She says we need to combat the Santa Claus hat, and we will. Yes, Chag Sameach, which is Hebrew for just basically happy holiday, and it is not specific as to which holiday. So, happy celebration. The only time you cannot use Chag Sameach is for Yom Kippur, because it is not supposed to be a happy holiday. It is supposed to be a reflective holiday. It is also the most important Jewish holiday, Yom Kippur.
Okay. I have an actual show item. It's an early show item.
And you wish
it's
people
not-
an easy fast for Yom Kippur,
Yeah.
if you want to, do things nicely.
Is that the
This
first
is
show?
the
on?
same show in which I was pointing out that that Ruth Bader Ginsburg doesn't have an afterlife, and so you shouldn't do the rest in peace. You should
Right.
just do may her memory be a blessing.
Yeah. So we have a show item. It's the very first actual real show item that is Happy Hanukkah. And then
Okay,
you can
so-
explain everything, and then 2 hours will have gone by, and we won't do any or don't have
Okay,
to do anything
let's
else.
do the upfront. I'll let you do it since I'm about to talk a lot about Hanukkah.
It takes music to begin with. From the studio in the bonus room above the garage on the north side of Cary at the foot of Mount Belzoni, this is the Triangle Talk Show.
Just cut the crap, kid. I want to know what the big talk's all about.
I don't think we should talk about this.
Then we talk all night.
Let's give 'em something to talk about. Another night of hearing myself talk.
Stop me if you've heard this one. Talk is cheap, yo.
With a little less talk and a lot more
The part where you dance is coming up, I think.
Talk to me.
Let's tell it like it is.
And that's it.
how
That's all you
could
dance
be.
for.
How it was and, of course, how it should be.
Keep that motor mouth moving morning, noon, and night. And if you keep on talking, baby, you know you're bound just to drive me away.
And sequestered in that studio, see, I'm doing it right this time. Oh, except for I got the wrong picture. Sequestered in that studio, I am Gary Pierce.
And from the big blue chair on the border of North Raleigh and Norther Raleigh, sequestered near Gary this time because it is the fourth night of Hanukkah and I co-quarantined with my mom, so I'm hanging out with her today on the side of absolutely no hills with no chapel up top. And for those of you who this is your first show, you got to listen to the other ones because I'm riffing on my usual introduction. I am Jen, who also hosts Nannycast.
Everybody recognizes that. They know what you're doing. Well, you're near North Hills.
I am near North. Oh, yes. I'm sequestered on the side of a hill with a mall up top.
Yeah.
A shopping mall up top.
I need to need to turn off the Sunday thing. I thought that was going to be okay, but it's not. Oh, I turned off the show date instead. For the audio audience, I am struggling with
Gary's on the struggle bus.
yeah, with the titling of the show, which means nothing
by the
to
way,
you.
I've heard that the term struggle bus is offensive because apparently some real assholes at some point referred to the buses with the school buses with the assistive wheelchair features as the struggle bus, and I would argue that they are assholes, and most of us have used the struggle bus in the environment in which I have existed. The term struggle bus was always used to refer to just when you're on a ride and it's a challenge, like nature is taking you on a ride, the universe is taking you on a ride, and it's just a challenge. And we referred to the buses with the assistive wheelchair features as the buses with the assistive wheelchair features. It was never a derogatory or pejorative.
Some people. We have another offensive term that no one knew was offensive until they checked it out for later in the show, if we get to that point. So,
well,
stay tuned.
I am on team reclaim the term struggle bus to actually refer to struggles that are given to you. You are not driving your own struggles. You are a passenger, and the struggles are driven by something else. And, it could be a struggle car. It could be a struggle raft. But I think that anybody who uses the term struggle bus to refer to somebody who needs mobility assistance is an asshole, and they deserve to be punched in the face, metaphorically. Don't actually assault people.
We care about people. And
that I'm not going to let them win. I'm not going to let them take the term and define the term. They are going to have to sit down, shut up, and find their own way to be an asshole, or maybe just don't be an asshole.
That would be a good thing. Yeah, I mean, we care about people, and there are definitely times because I'm old. I'm an old white man, and there have been times in my life when I have used pejorative terms about people with disabilities. I'll own up to that because I did it, and it was not nice. And you learn, and you change, and you stop doing those things. And maybe somebody in their teens or 20s who their friends kind of do that stuff, maybe they can learn and say, no, wait, not a good idea. Hurts people. This is episode 126. It's December 13th. It's the dreaded Sunday the 13th, 2020. Holiday on ice.
This would have been my grandfather's 108th birthday if he hadn't passed away before now.
Excellent. Happy birthday, Jen's grandpa. Yeah.
Just a piece of Gen life trivia.
It's as you reach a certain point in your life and you look at people like my dad passed away when he was 79, and if he had lived, he'd be like 110. So, whoa.
Yeah. The reason I mention it just is because it is December 13th, and sometimes it's on a Friday. And in my family, my grandfather was actually born on Friday, December 13th. So it is considered Friday the 13th is considered lucky in our family. We don't have the unlucky superstition.
Do you have any superstitions?
Yes. I have inherited the good Southern superstition where you kiss the roof of the car when you drive through a yellow light. I believe it's called squeezing the lemon. And you're supposed
I've never heard of that.
Kiss your hand, touch the roof of the car.
Never heard of that.
It invites the traffic gods to give you more yellow lights and fewer red lights.
Okay, not to keep the yellow light that you're skating under now, to keep it yellow just a little longer, because your front wheels
so
have
long as
already...
your front two wheels are in the intersection, you're allowed to clear it, even if the light turns red. But that's not the point. You obviously, the light turned yellow while you were in the intersection. You would never enter an intersection on a yellow light if you had safe stopping time, because that's what the law says.
That answers the next question I was going to ask, because there are people, and I believe I'm married to one, who believe that the meaning of yellow is speed up.
Yes, I believe that was a Mork and Mindy bit. Mindy says to Mork, she said, "You can't drive." And for those people who don't know Mork and Mindy, you really should. Robin Williams plays an alien, and Mindy is a human. And Robin Williams plays Mork, and then Mindy is a human. And Mork is chilling with Mindy, kind of like Alf or Family Guy. No, not Family Guy. American Dad, where they have an alien that's just hanging out with them, and at one point they're going on a trip, and Mindy gets tired of driving, and Mork says, "I'll drive," and Mindy says something to the effect of like, "How can you drive? You don't even know the traffic rules." And Mork says, "I absolutely do. Green means go, red means stop, green means go, and yellow means go faster."
Yep. Many people believe that. I was never a big Mork and Mindy fan. I wasn't terrible. It just, I don't know. Was watching other stuff, I guess. Was that a do they or don't they show? Or did we know did they or didn't they?
I honestly, I didn't watch a lot of it. I watched that particular bit that I can quote just because somebody found it amusing to show in my driver's ed class. And that is almost all I know about Mork and Mindy.
Okay.
Other than that it was Robin Williams.
Well,
and then when Robin Williams passed away, I watched a couple of episodes and I just couldn't connect. It was clearly a show of its time.
He was Mork from Ork.
Yes.
So I know that much. But it was early in his career, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably wasn't early in his career because he probably was doing stand-up and stuff long before that. He was an overnight sensation, 20 years in the making. So yeah, early in his television career, early as his career was taking off. Episode 126, Holiday on Ice. Some different possibilities for that name. It was, as we told people at the end of the last week's show, and everybody made it to the end of last week's show, right? Y'all stuck around for the 2 hours and 5 minutes or so and noticed that we said, not going to be a show this week. And yet, here we are. Why would that be? Because I was supposed to go up to the mountains, and some things happened that caused me not to go there. One of them is that we brought in our feral cat. We've been 13 years feeding a cat in the woods, and since we are going to be moving in a few months, we thought it would be a good idea to bring that cat into the house and domesticate it. So we did that, and we didn't want to leave it to the cat sitter. That was one of the things, and I'm digging up something for the other thing. Okay, I can show a picture of that feral cat. She is here. Her name is Dixie. No, her name is Bernie. Her sister was Dixie. Her name is Bernie.
That cute little cat tent.
Yeah.
For those of you on the audio only podcast, she is in one of those plush tetrahedral cat tents that they sell. This one happens to be Paisley.
Yeah, and she is scared right now. She is fairly terrified. Although in the camera we stuck on there overnight, we caught her eating food a little bit. I think she's used the litter box. In this picture, she's got some baby food that I was trying to get her to eat, but she was not interested in that. But that's not the main picture I was going to show. I just came across that one. I'm looking to see if there's something I can do to make this picture work. Here's the deal. A friend of mine, very good friend of mine, is in the hospital now. We learned at the beginning of the week that he was diagnosed with a tumor in his brain, and we don't know whether it's cancer or not. We won't know until tomorrow when they get the pathology back, because they've gone in and taken out as much as they can, but it had its tentacles in a lot of his brain, and they were unable to remove all of it. They removed a lot of it. There's very much about his prognosis that is going to be yet to be determined. So we don't know. But I have a picture I'm going to show, and if you are squeamish,
Listen to the audio only podcast.
listen to the audio only. I don't know, Jen, how squeamish are you about?
I'm a scientist.
Okay.
I don't have squeamish. I'm a scientist who was a volunteer first responder.
Okay.
So I don't have squeamish.
I've
also seen a human brain.
Well, you're not quite going to see a human brain, although he did ask. They did surgery, and they cut away a piece of his skull to get in and work on it. He asked them the surgeons, if they would take a picture of his brain that he could have.
Brains look like brains. This is what I have to contribute.
Yeah.
Like,
But he
when
wanted
you
a
see him
picture.
on TV, that look of a brain, that's what a brain looks like.
He wanted a picture of his because it's his. And how many people have a picture of their own brain? Not very many.
Me,
So
I'd like one.
here's the picture that we do have. And again, if you're squeamish, close your eyes now.
What you see is a person. You're looking down upon them from the very, very top of the sky. You're looking down at the very top of their head. It appears that he had a flap of his scalp cut away and has since been surgically stapled back into place.
51, I think, staples are in there. So
I never understood staples. I am too old school. I definitely understand stitches, but staples confuse me.
well, they're more like in the way that they work. It's gonna be more like two nails. The cross piece is irrelevant, because they don't. And if you staple paper, you've got what you see at the top. You've got the. I'm not sure what my fingers are. I'm not sure what my fingers are helping.
So paper staples used to be pins, like straight sewing pins. That used to be how you would keep paper together, and then you would take the pin and push it into the paper toward the back, and then flip it back around and push it back through the paper toward the front. And that's why some staplers have two settings. They have the one where the extra staple bits can curl under toward each other or can curl apart, and the one where they curl apart is supposed to be most similar to the old paper pins, which was where, staples weren't invented in isolation. They were an iterative improvement on the paper pin.
Okay, well, cool. These don't do the curl under thing. They just go in straight. And
So like a staple gun.
Yeah, when it's time to pull them, yeah, exactly. It's more like nails, except that the staple gun staple and a nail work the same way, except that the staple is like
you
two
would
of them at
only
once.
use surgical staples then when there's underlying bone that you can staple into.
Right.
You wouldn't use it on just soft tissue.
Yeah, this isn't holding together the skin, and a stitch would be just holding together the skin. So they wanted to. I'm going to show that picture again here. They wanted to keep the bone pieces together and let them grow back together. My friend had a full head of hair, and hopefully he will again. But for a while, he's going to look like me. So
There can be worse things like death. Bald versus death, I would definitely choose bald. I'm just saying. And I am somebody who really, really, really likes my hair, which is why I dye it. Those of you on the audio-only podcast who have never seen my gloriously magenta hair, you should take a look at the video sometime.
yeah, what's your status on repinking?
I've got like a 1/4 inch roots right now, so at some point I'll repink, but I'm holding off just because we're so close to the end. We're so close to the vaccine.
Oh, I don't know.
I cannot bleach my own hair. I can certainly sit there and squirt a bottle of color into my hair and mush it through and wait a while and then rinse it out. But what I cannot do is bleach just my roots. I don't have that kind of skill in the back of my head, and I don't want to over bleach my hair, over process my hair by bleaching something that doesn't need bleaching.
We can wait. I'm getting shaggy. I went from bald from my cancer stuff to curly and shaggy to a haircut, which we made it really short, and then as it grew back out, it wasn't curly anymore, and now it's getting shaggy again. I think I'll let it get shaggy for a while. So, holiday on ice. My weekend holiday is on ice. Not happening. Maybe next weekend. We will see. Everybody out there, your Thanksgiving holiday, many of you was not on ice enough, and your major winter solstice holiday. Is that a good generic term?
I mean, I just say winter season holiday.
Yeah, okay.
Because almost every religion and almost every culture group has a winter season holiday. I mean, there's nothing to do outside, so why not have a holiday?
Are they specifically grouped around the solstice, or is it just a?
It's loosely.
Okay. Some religions, pagan religions, I guess, specifically solstice.
Yes, well,
was.
because that's culturally and religiously important, the solstice. And then
Okay.
some other ones don't give a crap what the sun is up to.
I thought that Holiday on Ice was the name of one of those big ice show things. I thought it was when I came up with the title here, but I needed to do a little bit of research, and so I did. And it turns out that it's not. There is no nationwide traveling winter performance show called Holiday on Ice.
That's because we're having a pandemic, Gary.
No. There never has been. It's not a thing. It's as best I can tell. It's a great name, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It is the name of an ice rink in Charlotte that I didn't know. I didn't know it was that when I came up with it. It's the name of an ice rink in Charlotte. And there is a Disney on Ice, and that still exists. There's a traveling ice spectacular show. And they canceled this year because of the COVIDs, but they'll be back. A name you might be familiar with, a name from my youth, is Ice Capades.
I know the Ice Capades.
Did you ever see them?
No, I can't say that I really had a thing for figure skating in the winter. It just was not my jam.
I'm pretty sure I went as a kid. It's a little bit hard to remember whether I just saw something on TV or whether I actually went and saw them in person. They're gone. I didn't know they were gone. Didn't really care, but they were. In doing my extensive research for today's show, at the last minute, just 30 minutes ago, I discovered that they were last owned by Pat Robertson of 700 Club fame.
Ah.
And he bought them. They went through a few different hands. They started in the 40s. He bought them thinking that he could build up the brand and, bringing them back to, they had fallen on hard times. But he couldn't, didn't really work. So totally shut down around the year 2000. So they've been gone for about 20 years. So that is the story on Holiday on Ice. Not a thing, except for an ice rink in Charlotte. And you stay home for your winter holiday. I wasn't pointing at you, Jen, and wagging my finger at you because I know you will. I
have no desire to die.
And the rest of the world.
And I stand by my original conviction of I'm going to make it through this without having contracted SARS-2.
I'm hoping so.
I'm going to be that minority percentage that doesn't have to get it. And I thank you all for getting it so I don't have to.
Triangle Talk Show is a podcast, which is the absolute best way to consume this program. That warms your heart, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I think the podcast is it's how before I was a contributor to the podcast, I was a listener, and I listened on my podcatcher, which happens to be Pocket Casts. And so I do think it is the best way to consume this content.
I didn't know that you were even familiar with the show before I recruited you to it, because I recruited you through Reddit. And I thought you and Brendan, just the only thing that you knew about it was when you discovered it on my announcement on Reddit, where I was looking for people to just basically report on what's going on in their neighborhood. Had you actually heard it before then?
Absolutely.
Wow. Warms my heart. Okay, so podcast is the best way to consume it, it's way more intimate. It's having us right in your ears. That's great. We're a TV show. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook Live. We're on Periscope and Twitter. But really, 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 we're in our heart of hearts, we could do this on just audio. Should I push a button that makes us just audio? I mean, what the heck? Does anybody want to keep watching our face? Now for the audio audience, I put up our logo, and now audio audience, you are on parity with the video audience.
For those of you on the audio only podcast, you are no, it's just you're the same as them. There's nothing you're missing.
You're better. You're smarter. We talk about anything we want to. We aim more or less at things of interest to triangularians. Wait. Triangularians. Sometimes we're local, sometimes statewide, sometimes national, international, and occasionally we roam into outer space. We are unfair and unbalanced on the left-leaning side of politics. The only difference is one of us may be more left-leaning than the other, and sometimes it may be hard to tell. When we get political, which we pretty much always do, and as Jen can point out, everything is
always
political, not necessarily partisan. And I would like to point out that I do pay attention to you when I say that. Not written down. I do. Our website's triangletalkshow.com. Our Facebook group is Triangle Talk Show. Our YouTube channel is Triangle Talk Show. Twitter and Periscope is at Talk Triangle. Podcast-wise, we're everywhere. Like us, rate us, review us, hate us. I don't care.
Don't hate us. Do hate us. Dislike us.
I don't
You
care.
know, my nanny taught me growing up that you shouldn't hate. You should just dislike.
Okay. Push the dislike button on Facebook if you wish. The useful thing is share us. Although I'm not so sure about that at this point. I mean, tell your friends, tell strangers. Risky for you to do that because if you recommend us and they don't like us, well, it reflects badly on you and your questionable taste. But then didn't we already know you have questionable taste? The reason that I hesitate for any of that is because the program is probably going to sunset early next year because I'm moving. I'm leaving the state, definitely leaving the triangle and leaving the state. And if somebody wants the show, Jen, if you want the show, I'd be glad to hand it off to somebody. You can be first in line. You don't have to decide now. But the assets are website, YouTube channel, Facebook group, the things we just mentioned. All those things. Those are the assets. The hardware here. All of this stuff that is surrounding me, that doesn't go with it. And it's all aging and sooner or later, and I have no interest and can't afford to replace it. So if it were to stay as television, it would get much simpler. But I don't think I want to do this from South Carolina. I don't think. And I don't know if I want to do something else. I think at my age, I think I may want to start resting on my laurels. So we'll see. But if you want to put something together, it could happen. The show could go on. As they say in Hollywood, the show must go on. Jen's thinking.
Jen is like, that's a lot of pressure.
So the only pressure would come from people in the audience who would say, Jen, please keep the show going. You must keep the show going. Because, I would be nice, but,
You guys want to pressure me, feel free to pressure me. You know where to find me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to still think about it.
yeah. There is, some recent shows have hit over 100 people. And when you accumulate the audience for the video on various platforms, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the audio, there are typically between 75 and 200 people that are touched by the title of the show. And you really can't tell very much more than that. YouTube lets me tell how many people have watched and for how long. If 50 people start watching the show on YouTube, I can tell that by 10 minutes in, there's only 5 or 6 left. That is not encouraging to a producer. So those are, and frankly, I haven't done anything to make it better than that. I haven't bought advertising. I haven't gone everywhere I could possibly go and ballyhooed the show. And why is that? Because I don't have much confidence in myself. I don't think it's that good. Other shows are better. Although we're not that bad either. We're not.
Watching him just dig himself into a hole. This is great.
We're not Make Me Smart.
Keep talking.
We're not
Keep talking.
We're not Kai and Molly, but we're not that far. Just like what I do with my wife. I'm getting too hot. This is what my friend is going to look like for a while. I'm hoping it grows back. Happy Hanukkah.
Yes. Tonight is the fourth night of Hanukkah.
Is it with an H or with a C?
It is a transliteration of Hebrew, so I believe there are 16 accepted spellings using the Roman alphabet, and all of them are equally correct. This is one of those times where everybody's right, and it's glorious because there is an incorrect spelling in Hebrew, but however you want to sound it out, that sounds like the Hebrew, you can go for it. It is a guttural ha sound. I don't know how well that translates on my mic, but it's in the back of your throat where you sound like you're trying to hawk up a loogie. Hanukkah. So
Hanukkah.
some people put a ch to try and do that guttural sound. Some people just go with an H because they're like, you know what? Nobody needs to hurt their throat like that. There's all kinds of. I've seen a double H. I've seen an H with a dot under it. That they're trying. It's a sound you can make, and good luck trying to spell it in English.
Yeah, and that's why it's different because it's translation. And
it's called a transliteration. So it's not actually translated, which would mean that you take the meaning of the Hebrew word, run it through a translator app, and then write it out in English, which would be Festival of Lights. It's still the same word. It's still the same Hebrew word. You're just using a different set of letters because Hebrew is written with Hebrew characters.
Okay. I have heard in the past, I don't think I've heard anybody bring this up this time, but seems to get brought up almost every year, that it has been and was, and maybe still is, a relatively minor Jewish holiday that's just been amplified by its proximity to Christmas.
It was invented recently because Jewish kids needed an alternative to Christmas because they were being very sad about the fact that the Christian kids had gifts and had Santa and had candy canes and had, songs. And what do Jewish kids have? There was a historical moment where the Judah Maccabee did indeed figure out how to defeat the invading army. It was even written down in the history books at all, not because, and I should add, they only defeated them for a very brief period of time because that army came back and had a second round and just annihilated the Maccabees. So it wasn't even a significant victory. They couldn't even hold it for a month. However, the reason that this victory got written down in the history books was because it was the first time that elephants had been defeated in battle. Elephants were the impregnable war machine tanks that nobody knew how to kill. And Judah Maccabee was like, listen, if it's got a pulse, it can die, and figured out that the super soft, unarmored underbelly of the elephant is probably where you want to attack with your blades. And so that is why this got written in the history books, because this was a huge tactical advancement in warfare.
Is that sort of the origin of the concept soft underbelly?
Yes. Yeah. And also it's, so that, of course, that doesn't make a holiday itself. Nobody's going to have a festival of killing elephants. Instead, they went with the, let's see how I can explain Jewish.
The festival of elephant death.
Yeah, the festival of we figured out how to kill the elephants, guys. Guess what? No, that's not. So in Judaism, there is a light, an ever-burning light. The translation of it would be eternal light. And I'm sure that I know that in Christianity, the concept of an eternal light gets mentioned, but it's an actual object for Jews. It is called the Ner Tamid, and it is a light that is lit, and you keep it burning. And you can have new Ner Tamids, but they must be lit off of the previously existing Ner Tamid. So it is a continuation of that light. and then there's all these fancy rules about how pure the lamp oil needs to be, because this light is godly and is holy, and so you don't just want to give it crap lamp oil. You want to give it like the primo lamp oil because you want to really show God how much you value God or whatever.
Would that be whale oil?
No, it's olive oil because they had a lot of olive trees.
Does that burn well?
Yeah.
I've never tried
olive oil burns.
Never tried to light
Ask anybody who's ever tried to fry something and used olive oil instead of a fryer oil. Olive oil lights up real well. Yeah, so it was olive oil because what they had a lot of in that time and in that place were olive trees, and what they did not have a lot of in that time and that place were oceans with whales in them, or oceans at all. It was a desert. They had olive trees. So it was olive oil, and it was the first drops out of the olive, the extra virgin olive oil, because the virginity of olive oil is, when you start squeezing the olive, how soon did these drops come out? The first drops are the extra virgin olive oil, then the next two drops are the extra virgin olive oil, and then the next drops are the virgin olive oil, and then after that they're just like, it's olive oil. You just deal with it.
I'm putting this concept together in my brain because I've seen extra virgin olive oil and I never had any idea what it was.
Those are just the first pressing.
So what I'm thinking of is that as you press it harder and harder, it's going to get contaminated
it's going to be less oil and more olive flavor. I personally happen to like a less virgin olive oil. It's got more flavor in it, and I like my flavor in my oil. But if you want a flavorless oil to burn in a lamp, because that matters, then you want the extra virgin olive oil because it matters to your taste buds.
Okay. You're not tasting it. Can you smell it?
You can. I mean, all olive oil to me smells identical.
Okay.
I think at this point, very few olive oils that I've had the chance to encounter in grocery stores are pure, and that's the problem. I think most of them are olive oil in a carrier oil, like a rapeseed oil or a vegetable oil. I think in order to call it olive oil, it has to be something like 51% olive oil, but 49% of it is the thing that you mostly smell. But so after Judah Maccabee discovered that he could kill elephants, and now we're fast forwarding to
I do want to know how he tested that theory.
I mean, he killed an elephant.
Well, yeah, but I mean, elephants are not. You don't want to mess with an elephant.
He went under the elephant and attacked it with a spear down the middle of the belly, and its guts fell out, and then everybody else went, "Oh, he's crazy, but he's right." And then the rest of the Maccabees. Maccabee was, by the way, it's not a last name. People use it like a last name, but back then they didn't have last names. It was a military division, 82nd Airborne. He was Judah Maccabee, like Judah 82nd Airborne.
Okay.
As opposed to, that other Judah over there who happens to grind olives into olive oil. So after he did this, then they fight off their oppressors, and the oppressors are sore losers, and so they smash all the jars of olive oil save one, and they're to feed this Ner Tamid, this oil lamp. So they're like, well, guess this is what we're going to feed this oil lamp with, because it'll suck for the light to go out, but we got to do the best we can. And this is where we get a little mythological. It was said that the oil lamp burned 8 times longer than it should have off of that quantity of oil that was fed to it.
Hence the 8 days.
Yes. And so this was.
It's all coming together.
Yeah. And so when
kids, there's going to be a quiz. You should be taking notes.
Well, in the 20th century, when Judaism needed a winter holiday, because Christmas was getting very commercial, and the parents were starting to suffer complaints from their little children, the great rabbis got together and they went through the history books and they found the Maccabees, elephant killing, and they went, well, we can't make a holiday about elephant killing. That's not going to be quite so child friendly. We're going to get complaints about that. And then somebody went, oh, look, there's this side note about this oil lasted a while. They're like, cool. That's what we're doing. We're going to make this holiday, and it's going to be about the oil lasting. And so that's why traditionally a Hanukkah, which is a menorah specifically for Hanukkah, which has 8 branches rather than a normal menorah, which has 7 branches, 1 for each day of the week. The Hanukkah has 8 branches, and then a separate branch called the Shamash, which is the dirty light, the dirty candle. You use it just as a tool to light the other ones. Hanukkah is semi-traditionally, and I say this because I mean it's not very traditional if it's only 3 generations of existence, right? Semi-traditionally, they were oil Hanukkahs. They would burn olive oil instead of candles, just because we gotta go all in on this holiday, right? and it's mythos. But my Hanukkah burns candles, and the Ner Tamid at the synagogue where I was growing up burned electricity. So you do the best you can, and if the God you worship happens to want to get that granular, maybe that's not the God that you really want to worship, is it? Because Jews have that's one of the other differences. Jews have a contractual relationship with their Almighty. The Jewish God needed worshipers, and the Jews needed some favors done, and they said, "Hey, you do these favors, we'll worship you." But nobody is supplicant to anybody else here. And so the idea that maybe you might not want to worship that one, you might want to go picking for a different one, like that's a Jewish concept. So, God has to accept on some level what God gets, because otherwise we're going to find a different God.
So how is this holiday perceived in the Jewish community today? Does everybody get that, yeah, this is a trumped up, so to speak, holiday, but we need something now? Or
you get a very, very small percentage of people who are unwilling to be cynical about the holiday, but the majority of the adults are very like, yeah, we know what we're doing. We're doing this for reasons. The reasons stand. It's fun. Let's have a little whimsy in our life. That's
for the kids.
It's for the kids. It's considered for the kids. The idea of giving a Hanukkah present to an adult is abnormal. Most adults will look at you and go, but why? And you did that, but why?
And maybe it's for the Christians too, so that we don't feel bad about leaving you guys out.
I mean, I still, as I am my mother's daughter, though I am an adult, I still get presents. So I like it. The presents are really, they're very small. Unlike Christmas gifts, I've seen what some of y'all Christians spend on Christmas gifts. We don't play that. Like, you will get a pair of socks one day, and then the next day you will get a notepad of pretty stationery. I mean, it's stocking stuffer level gifts, but you get 8 of them. And then you play a gambling game of dreidel, which is very, very similar to Tomatolo, which is a Latino game using a 6-sided top, whereas dreidel is a 4-sided top. And I think there are only like 2 differences in the whole of the gambling games. So you could walk into a Tomatolo game and pick up on it within a round. And that's for the adults. Get some gambling in there. Teach the kids to gamble early.
I know a couple. I don't know them. I'm aware of a couple of dreidel songs. Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay.
Yeah. Because most of those came out of the 50s and the 60s. I mean, it is truly a new holiday. So we don't have ancient traditional music.
Yeah. Well, Christmas carols are older, but the Here Comes Santa Claus, that stuff's new. So, and when I say the Christians, and I say we didn't want you to feel bad, I'm not really including myself because I am not Christian. I'm a non-believer. What I like about Hanukkah is what I think that I like about Holi, even though that is a religion I am not a participant in, but I have been welcomed to the celebration of it as an honored guest. It's the thing that I like about Christmas. It is light at a time when the sun is already setting at 4:44 p.m. Hey, that's a good number. It's a holiday where you bring light, and there is light
and it's not so dark and so gloomy all the time. You know, Christmas has the multicolored little blinky lights, and Holi has lights, and Hanukkah has lights, and Solstice has lights, and Yule with the Yule log, you set it on fire, and that is light and good smells also.
Yeah.
And it's light. I don't like the smell of frying things in oil, so I can't say it's good smells with latkes and sufganiyot, which are the other traditional food of Hanukkah, because it's a Berliner donut, but those are fried in oil. So you eat foods fried in oil. It's lights, it smells, it's a reason to have a good time at a time that's otherwise dark. I have no objection to it, so long as everybody goes into it without the cultish like mindset of I'm somehow more special than you, or this is somehow significant of great non-natural activities or whatever. And there has been scholarship done into this concept that this olive oil lasted for 8 days. And what it came down to is they think that somebody was just sort of like topping everything up on the down low.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of like quiet assistance.
Could have happened. All that history, just nobody was writing it down in its time. It all came later.
Well, they did. This is where we know about the Maccabees and the elephant killing. That got written down in its time, and that got written down in its time because all of a sudden letters started firing all over the Greek army. Like, hey, our elephants are vulnerable. They figured this out.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably a lot of those people were illiterate at the time, but the oral tradition was also big. Yeah. I am going to accuse you now, with your Holiday of Light, of being North American centric. Not North America, Northern Hemisphere centric.
Well, yeah. I mean, Israel is in the Northern Hemisphere. Greece, where this holiday's literary justification background came from, is in the Northern Hemisphere. The whole holiday comes from the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah. Those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't think very much. The idea that the whole Southern Hemisphere is opposite seasons from us, that's just a little quirk of nature we think is cute. But we don't really think about it very hard. Unless we want to go skiing in the summertime, then there's a place you can go. What? Oh, next. The vaccines are coming. The Russians are coming.
I'm so ready.
I was watching the news a couple days ago when they were showing that sweet little old lady that got the first shot in England. And I will admit, a little chill, a little shiver down my spine watching that story that day. Like, cool. Been waiting for this for a long time, and
I didn't realize how much I needed this until it happened, and then I realized just how much it emotionally impacted me. So I guess I really needed this light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we're not at the end of the tunnel yet, but I can see a glimmer on the horizon.
Yeah, and it's not a train coming the other way. So you got the little chill too, or maybe a big chill? Cool.
I cried. I actually shed some tears.
Yeah. I heard Rachel Maddow.
And it was relief cry. It wasn't like sadness cry. It was a relief cry.
I heard Rachel Maddow say the same thing, that when she saw that story, it was like, So evidently I'm not that disconnected from humanity as much as I might think I am. Of course, it's going to get worse before it gets better because people are not putting their holiday on ice.
I mean, the amount of people who are all of a sudden discovering that they've got COVID after Thanksgiving is like, we talked about a Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU Christmas, and here we are.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the big problem. Because for most people, if they get it, it's not that big a deal. It's a big enough deal. Like your friend, the guy who came on the show, he said that it was feeling the worst he had ever had in terms of a disease, but he lived through it pretty well. Has he had any follow-on effects that?
Not yet, but he also hasn't wanted to upset the medical infrastructure by doing like lung capacity and tests and just heart soundness tests, because these are the organs that there is long-term lasting damage to from COVID, and the doctors are needed elsewhere. And if his heart is operating at 80% or 70% capacity, he can find that out next year. He doesn't need to find it out right now.
Nothing they can do about it at this point.
Yeah.
So it's relatively small percentage of the people that have the really serious complications that end up on ventilators, in the ICUs, things like that. But
it's bad enough that most of our hospitals are at capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a relatively small percentage of the population, and that relatively small percentage of the population filled up our hospitals.
Yep. And that's the problem. That's where the issue is. And we haven't hit the big peak, because that's going to be the Christmas peak. We haven't hit that yet. And that's going to come just after New Year. Hey, 2021 is going to be a much better year than 2020.
God, I hope people. So I will say this, as a sociologically interested outsider, the number of people who simultaneously crave Christmas and are stressed to death by Christmas are overlapping to the Venn diagram of that are almost concentric circles. And I keep wanting to say to people, like, if you're stressed to death by it, maybe don't go see Great Aunt Susan for Christmas, which stresses you so much that you've spent the past month and a half complaining.
Yeah, maybe we can start some new traditions that are not so stressful.
You have an excuse not to do it this time. Take the excuse.
Yeah. So Governor Cooper has added some fairly minor additional restrictions because of what's going on. 9 o'clock booze cutoff, 10 o'clock curfew. So basically restaurants and activities have to close by then. Y'all go home, with enough exceptions to drive a lot of ambulances through.
Yeah.
So not that big a deal, but you think it's a big deal because of all the whining going on out there.
There are some people who are like really, really dead set on overpaying for their alcohol. And I'm, if the amount they whine, like if they feel that way about this extra money, honey, I will mix you a drink and overcharge you for it.
Yeah. I'm back when I was an active alcoholic. I said, go to a bar. Are you kidding? Pay like $3 for a beer and get the whole 6-pack for $3. Come on.
I'm just confused by people. I am confused.
But these
are the same people who want to sacrifice the economy or thought we were sacrificing the economy for public health. Listen, you don't know an economy at all if these are the price choices you're making. My mom says 10 minutes till we light candles.
Okay, cool. Can we celebrating the Supreme Court this weekend?
I have not followed what the Supreme Court has done lately.
My chance to educate Jen. This is rare. Yeah. The Supreme Court, the state of Texas had filed suit in the Supreme Court against, and I think it was Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, the 4 battleground states that things were close. And Trump has been fighting in those states to overturn the results. The state of Texas filed suit in the Supreme Court against those states. With I didn't go real deep into the charges, the things that they were alleging. I've heard people refer to the idea that Texas says, well, if you do the math, there was a 1 in 1 quadrillionth chance that Biden would have won in those states. And you go, huh? What? Excuse me? I don't know if those are just the us lefties making a mockery of some perhaps more serious charges, but I don't know. I have to go look. But that's what people are saying. In any case, Texas did file those complaints, and they get to go directly to the Supreme Court because when one state wants to file a lawsuit against another, they don't have to do it in a superior court, in a U.S. District court. They go straight to the Supreme Court. That's called original jurisdiction. Most cases that make it to the Supreme Court have to start in a local court. You lose, you appeal to an appellate court. You lose, you appeal to the Supreme Court. That's going all the way to the Supreme Court. But if you're a state like Texas and you got a beef with another state like Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or Georgia, you go straight to the Supreme Court. And so that's what they did. The Supreme Court said, nah, not gonna do it. It's my best George Bush imitation. Not gonna do it. They basically said that Texas did not have standing to sue the other states over their election practices, because the Constitution specifies that each individual state gets to decide how they handle their elections. I have not looked up the language in the Constitution. I'm taking some people at their word for that.
I'll say that was my understanding anyway.
Yep.
Each state gets to decide how they handle their election practices.
Yeah. So all 9 justices were on board with that. 2 justices said we should have taken the case anyway, and that was Thomas and Alito. They said we should have taken the case anyway. And they became heroes on the right because they would have taken the case anyway.
I mean, Alito just really likes interesting law.
Well, in this case, their justification for that was that they believe, because of the doctrine of original jurisdiction, if one state wants to sue another, the Supreme Court has to take it. Excuse me, got to clear things out from the pipes. That they
and then
can't.
At that point, he would have just written an opinion that Texas lost because each state gets to handle it. But like I said, Alito really is interested in interesting law.
But they would have brought them in, brought the lawyers in, do the arguments. I kind of wish that had happened. I mean,
the Supreme Court saves us money as taxpayers, and we wish it didn't. What?
Well, I would have liked the Supreme Court to have looked at the arguments and then said, get out of here, get off the lawn. But because it's less satisfying, and it gives Trump, which he did, the ability to say that they didn't look at the merits of the case. They just didn't take it.
They don't have to. You have to have standing before they can look at the merits of the case.
Well, yeah. So what Trump said was the Supreme Court had zero interest in the merits. This is a tweet I'm quoting. Zero interest in the merits of the greatest voter fraud ever perpetrated on the United States of America. All they were interested in is standing, which makes it very difficult for the president to present a case on the merits. 75 million votes. Well, yes, it makes it impossible for the president to present a case on the merits.
Standing.
Yeah.
The whole point of standing is that, the Supreme Court is only interested in adjudicating legal issues where somebody has been legally wronged. They don't they don't exist to grandstand. If you want to grandstand, then you go on the talk show circuit.
Well, somebody could be wronged, very wronged, and someone wants to bring the case to court, but they're not involved. It's not their case. They just think it's somebody got a raw deal. They can't do that. They can't do it at the Supreme Court. They can't do it in any court.
You have to be the one.
Yeah. You have to be the aggrieved party.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go co-opt somebody else's issue for your own glory.
Yeah. And as best I understand it, from without going through I never read the case that they brought, but best I understand it, Texas was basically saying, with you guys screwing up so badly and not counting your votes properly, you're diluting the votes that loyal Texans voted. So we do have standing because you're messing with Texas. And the Supreme Court is basically saying, we're not buying that argument.
I don't buy that argument.
Yeah.
Texas has its own electors. It gets its own electors. It did what it needed to do with its own electors, and nobody stood in the way of it doing its thing with its own electors. The end.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the way the deal is. It's 5:00
Yes.
Eastern Standard Time. The clock behind you, by the way, I would like to point out, is not running. It's been 5 minutes till noon all afternoon.
I have a clock.
Looks like a clock. It is off of your right shoulder. The other right. It's under a dome. Under glass.
Oh, that clock. So it's not showing the can you make my thing bigger? There.
Yeah, the audience couldn't
that
see it.
Clock.
Yeah.
For those of you on the audio only podcast, it is an anniversary wedding clock. It was my grandparents' anniversary wedding clock. So it was a thing back in the 40s or 50s, whenever they got married, that you would get a clock from Tiffany's and it would be under a dome. And the dome, for those of you in the audio only podcast, looks like the dome that in Beauty and the Beast, the rose is kept under. It's a bell jar kind of dome, and the clock is supposed to stop at some point, and it's just, I don't know, it was an expensive gift, and it was traditional. And yes, it hasn't worked in over 70 years. So much so that the counterweights that would spin, because this is from before you plugged a clock in. This was when you used a key and you wound a clock, and it had a weight system, and the weight system would advance the gears.
I lived in that era.
The weights have fallen off.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I lived in the era where you wound up typically wristwatches or clocks, things like that.
Yeah, I have a wristwatch that you wind and a pocket watch that you wind, and then I have another wristwatch that uses kinetic motion of your wrist to keep it wound. Somehow magically it winds up from that.
I had wristwatches that if you could overwind them, they didn't have a good stop. So if you wound and it went too far, you'd break the spring. They fixed that problem at some point. So is it time for you to go upstairs and light?
I have not heard the bellows from the mother.
Okay.
But I shall cut my video, and I shall walk upstairs, and I shall set up there.
Okay.
Please feel free to continue the show without me.
I will put myself on as a full screen entity, and I'm going to leave your. I guess I'll leave your audio low.
I'll leave my audio live, and then
Okay.
I will cut it if I need to.
Okay. So.
I can walk up the stairs and talk simultaneously.
Yeah, Jen has turned off her video, and just the name, Jen of Nan. It's going to be
Also of Nanny Cast, it says, but
Jen,
all those characters.
Jen also of Nan is all that's showing up here. Let's see, what else have we got here? You were going to talk about picking up litter, but we'll have to do that later on. Is there anything here that? Yeah, I can do all my own. This is pretty long. I'm going to talk about how Oxford's 2020 Word of the Year is, because I think that's something Jen would be interested in. Hang on to that. We can get indignant over the Youngsville Christmas parade. That's getting a little bit old because last weekend, but the town of Youngsville, part of the Triangle, had their Christmas parade. And TV stations interviewed people saying, "Don't you think that's a bad idea?" And the answer they generally got back was, "Well, God will protect us. God will protect." God is giving you the sense to know that you shouldn't do a Christmas parade in the middle of a pandemic. That's the way God is protecting you. Y'all are ignoring God. So. Yes, let's get indignant over Youngsville's Christmas parade. Well, that didn't take very long. Oh, here's something we can do. This is a little visual. Put up the browser here. If you Google the term Wizard of Oz, then you get something on Google that, before you start actually looking at the Wizard of Oz stuff, you get these ruby slippers. Somebody put this on Facebook, and I just thought it was cute. It's nothing to do with anything going on right now. Just thought it was cute. So you get these ruby slippers, and if you click on them, so again, Google Wizard of Oz. Don't go into the Wikipedia, or don't look at anything else. Just look at this thing over here on the right on your browser. And I think this works on a phone too.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
So you click on the ruby slippers, and then that's what happens. It spins your browser and takes you to black and white, and the ruby slippers have turned into a tornado. And if you click on the tornado, everything spins back, and then you were where you started. And you can go back and forth.
There's no place like home.
Go back and forth as many times as you like that. And let's get back to where we were. We'll click on the tornado. Is there anything about this that is Wizard of Oz specific? I mean, why we would be talking about it now, I have no idea. But I do want to see what this says here that says, why is the Wizard of Oz banned? Because I didn't know it was banned. And I'm not seeing anything really intriguing there, so I'm gonna abandon my search for why is the Wizard of Oz banned. And now we're going to take a look at... Okay, Jen, are you back?
I am.
Okay. There's your mom.
Yep.
Hi.
Hey. Hi, Jen's mom.
Hello there.
So these are the sorry, I'm going to pin my video pin your video so that my mom is not confused. These candles right here are the candles for the days. And then the helper candle, the Shamish, is there for hers and in my hand for mine. You use the Shamish to light your Hanukkah candles. You do not light it directly with a match.
That's tradition.
Are you ready for us to light it?
Yeah, anytime.
Okay. Well, so I'm lighting my shamash. She's going to light up. And hers.
And then you start lighting from the most recent day toward the original day, but you put your candles in from the right to the left. The first day is on the right.
So that's 4.
Yep, it is 4 days.
3, 2, and 1.
So you each did 4.
Yeah, this because the Jewish day begins at sundown.
Would you like me to light yours?
No, it's lighting. There we go. The Jewish day begins at sundown.
Yeah, it's a dinner to dinner day.
So it's almost the first day. Ooh.
That's why I wanted to know if you wanted me to light yours.
All right.
So is there a penalty for dropping a candle?
No, this was the Shamish.
And we'll say a prayer. And when we say prayers, we sing them.
All right.
And we're singing them in Hebrew.
Yep.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All set.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sha'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim ha'hem ba'azman hazeh.
And
That
that's it.
was lovely.
That is day 4 of Hanukkah. And now, if there were children, we would open a gift.
No kids, no gifts.
Now I got my one gift, and it's
He's still my kid, right?
I did mention that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And so is it the same thing every night for the 8 nights,
Yes,
or is there a different
with an
prayer?
increasing number of candles. Absolutely.
Until we have all 8 of them.
So
Oh, okay.
here's
So
the-
that's why you were only each lighting 4. I thought it was you did half, Mom did half.
no,
But no,
it's
two-
night number 4. So each of us has our own Hanukkah, and we only light the number of day candles, which are these 4 for the night of Hanukkah it is, and then the shamash, because it's a shamash, and then as we progress toward day 8, on day 8, all of them will be lit.
So
across the whole thing.
It's increasing. It's called the Festival of Lights for a reason, because we, as we increase our days, we bring more light into the darkness.
Now, here's a fun trivia question. This is a good math question. If every day has an additional candle plus the previous candles of the previous days plus a shamash, so day 1 would have 2 candles, the candle for the day and the shamash. Day 2 has 3 candles, the candle for the day, the candle for day 1, and the shamash. How many total candles do you need to do 8 nights of Hanukkah?
I'm going to say, with a new candle every day.
Yes.
Because you
But
light.
you have to keep then lighting all the previous days as well.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So she means less.
Wait. Because they're tenuously posed. Let's not almost bump them.
We can use my.
So day
you
1,
can go over there.
day 1 has 1 candle for day 1 plus the shamash. So there's 2 candles for day 1. Day 2 has 1 candle for day 2, 1 candle for day 1, and 1 candle for the shamash. So day 2 has 3 candles.
Okay.
Day 3 has 1 candle for day 3, 1 candle for 2, 1 candle for day 1 plus the shamash. So day 3 has 4 candles. In total, how many candles do you need for 8 days of Hanukkah?
And so you're using brand new candles every day.
Brand new candles every day. We
You
do
don't-
not blow them out. They burn down.
Oh, okay. So I was going to ask how long you leave them lit, and they'll go a
They
few
burn down.
hours. They'll go a few hours, and then they'll be done.
Yeah, the standard is that they'll go for an hour and a half to 2 hours, just by because we needed to standardize things. But there's also a standard candle size. But as you can see from that, Mom's Hanukkah has the candles cantilevered all every which way. There's not the standard candle size doesn't always relate to standard Hanukkah holes to put them in. But that doesn't matter. You let them burn down until they have completely burned down.
Okay.
You do not blow them out.
So I hated those questions in math because they always would come up on the final exam. But my friend, the friend who had the brain surgery, said we would ask him, "Are you getting some cognitive impairment?" And he said, "Well, I can't multiply 3-digit numbers in my head anymore." So he could do this. I am counting 45.
There are 45 candles in a box, but it does not take 45. They gave extra.
They give you some
It
extras.
takes 44 candles to complete one Hanukkah. They gave it an extra just in case you break them.
Sort of like, not jigsaw puzzles. They can't give you an extra piece. I'm trying to think of what gives you an extra piece. Something does.
I mean, a baker's dozen gives you 13, just in case you
Okay.
want to eat one before you show anybody else that there are there.
Yeah. I eat them all before I get home, and then I just pretend I didn't get any. Okay. Well, cool. Is there anything else we need to know?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Jen's mom. Jen's
Thank you.
Jen's mom have a name?
Okay, going off camera to go back to the big blue chair.
Okay. Switching you off. Let's see. What else have I got here that is, will only take a little time. Did the Wizard of Oz. Let's bring up this here YouTube parody video. This is from, you recognize this from Sound of Music.
There's a man sort of ranting through the White House's walls. All his tweets are in caps lock too.
This is really well done.
And up in his nursery, every word is absurd. He's lost it and has gone cuckoo. 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 Now fretfully his magas are trying to compel us to share their views. Cuckoo. Fake news.
The lip sync is awesome too. Your audio's on, Jen. You can comment.
I know. The lip sync is
So
on.
long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen,
Wiedersehen,
goodnight.
goodbye.
The votes were cast and counted, they were right. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu. Results came through, and lots more states were blue.
And the lyrics are well done too. I mean, everything about this is really well done.
So long, farewell, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. I'd like to stay and count those votes again. Yes?
No.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. You'll leave, we'll heave you out and you will cry. Goodbye. You've got to go, you narcissistic liar. You
She's saying that with such a sweet face.
We're counted, now you're fired. You're done, you're gone. Look forward to jail time. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
There's been so much clever stuff that has come out of this.
Yes. Trump has been nothing if not a good impetus for
creativity.
art.
Yeah. So let's see who did this. Shirley Serban is the channel, and it's less than 200,000 views. This needs to. It came out on December 5th. This needs to get out there more. So I'll put a link if you want to put a link on the Triangle Talk Show webpage, show notes thing. If you want to see it, or you could just look on YouTube. It's called So Long, Farewell, 20 January 2021 version. Shouldn't
Hopefully
be too hard to
enough
find.
people will still be alive and not in the ER to witness that. But speaking of, if you have an advent calendar and you don't use the advent calendar to count down to Christmas, but you start using the advent calendar the day after Christmas, you start on the 26th, it will take you to inauguration. One chocolate a day until Biden's inauguration. Just saying. Also, I humbly accept tea and fountain pen ink advent calendars. You can send them to me, courtesy of Gary at triangletalkshow.com.
Yeah, sure. I get them to you. You spent 3 hours today picking up litter in Raleigh.
I did.
Jen's instant editorial rant.
Yes, I did that voluntarily. The number of people who stopped and asked what crime I committed I think it says something about our society.
Were you in an orange jumpsuit?
No, I was not. But I think it says something about what we expect from civic participation, which is that we don't expect civic participation unless a judge orders it.
You were at the Tequila...
near Taqueria Toro, out near, kind of on the way toward Lake Wheeler, but not really. It's Taqueria. Taqueria Toro, if you haven't been, and there's a Latina grocery store as well next to it, is delicious. That food is so good. You should go when it's not a pandemic and stuff your face and stuff your belly. You will be so thankful you did.
What highway is this on? What road?
It's off of Tryon. You take Tryon out like you're going to Lake Wheeler, but then you keep going down Tryon like you're aimed toward, what is it, 401 South? And it's in between Lake Wheeler Road and 401 South. You make a right off of Tryon. And then it's a little bit back there. But yeah, so 3 hours.
Was this an adopt a highway thing?
No. So a friend of mine goes running and walks her dogs in that neighborhood area. And she has noticed an increasing amount of just litter. And she kept saying, someone should pick this up. And then at some point it occurred to her that she's a someone. And so she asked if anybody wanted to join her in picking it up. And we did 7, because I had the brilliant idea that we shouldn't do the big grocery bag or the big trash bags because we had to carry them, until we found a generous business that would allow us to dump them in their dumpsters, that we should instead do little grocery bag type plastic bags. We put together 7 little grocery bag type plastic bags within a 1 block stretch and 1 giant bag full of recycling. And just from people just dropping it out of their cars, it was really sad. Most of them happened to be fast food drink cups.
Yeah, people are pigs. So you could have gone to one of the Wake County convenience centers. There would have been one.
We would have had to drive it over there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you just wanted to take it from where you picked it up and then put it in the closest trash can.
Yeah,
and
where the people who dropped it on the ground should have put it to start with.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was in that particular stretch, there were no recycling facilities. Nobody had recycling bins. Nobody had recycling dumpsters. I understand that businesses have to pay extra for a separate contract for recycling dumpsters. I was surprised, and again, because I live in Chapel Hill, so I deal with Orange County. I was surprised that Wake County doesn't just give a recycling bin to a business so that they can just wheel their little wheelie bin out to the curbside and have it picked up by the recycling truck. Yeah. There was no capacity to recycle. And we ended up having to find a generous person willing to take our big bag of recycling to their personal home recycling bin to recycle it, because it just, that's sad, y'all. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know about Raleigh. There would be a few spots in Cary where you would see that, but again, mostly it's, one thing, Cary is not that big on business infrastructure. We the businesses everywhere, but I can't think of recycling containers out there in the little strip malls and stuff. Just trash cans. So if you want to throw something away, it's going to be in the trash.
To trash aluminum cans. Like our big bag was aluminum cans.
All right. That's Jen's rant.
Yeah. Dear Raleigh, please fix your recycling issue. I think that the amount of recycling litter would have been significantly cut down if there was a place that it could have gone. Because the way the recycling litter was left, it wasn't like the fast food cups. It wasn't tossed. It was gently placed as if they expected somebody would come along and do something with it. I think they would have just as happily put it in a recycling bin if there had been any available. So please fix your recycling infrastructure.
Yeah, but just take it with you. It's not that hard.
Pick the planet.
It has been a long time since I just casually tossed trash. Dropped it if I was walking, tossed it out the window, whatever. I was a kid last time I did something like that. You can do better.
Pick the planet, recycle your recycling, take it with you if you can. And aluminum cans are the money maker. We talk about China doesn't want to take our plastic bottles anymore. That's fine. This wasn't the recycling we were finding. We were finding aluminum cans. That's the money maker.
Yeah, I guess
they're leaving. Somebody somewhere is leaving money on the table, and that it makes no It makes no social sense. It makes no financial sense. It makes no business sense. What are you doing?
Yeah. We have gotten into hot chocolate season, which means I consume a fair amount of milk. And Cindy has started getting it in the way it used to come back when I was a kid, when the milkman would drop it off in
The glass bottle.
a glass bottle. And it's a $2 deposit at Harris Teeter. And you get your $2 back when you bring the bottle back.
Yeah. And I firmly believe that milk tastes better out of glass.
I think it might. Anyway, it's pretty good. Loves me some hot chocolate on a chilly night, of which tonight is not, because we're back to having early, late spring, summer, winter, spring.
Oh,
thing.
3 hours of recycling pickup or picking up trash, and I was sweating, and I smelled so bad from all that just like unexpected sweat from the heat.
So-
I roiled through and through.
Did the road behind you then look pristine when you were done?
Yeah.
You look back with pride and say, I did this?
Yeah, and the businesses that had dumpsters were pretty okay with us dumping trash in their dumpsters because we were increasing their curb appeal.
Yep. Made them look nice. North Carolina ban on cities creating their own protections for LGBT plus people has expired. Remember back on HB2, the bathroom bill that cost us so dearly.
Well, Carborough thumbs its nose at that, and Carborough is just like, whatever, we did it anyway.
Yeah. So
way to go, Carborough.
it was sort of we can do it like this.
No, wait.
Yeah, this is so hard to do.
Boom.
Boom.
For those of you on the audio-only podcast, we are trying to make our fists bump on the video screen, and it doesn't work because my camera is mirrored in a weird way.
Yeah, this is so hard to do. So
I'm going to back you up for 1 second, and then we can talk about LGBTQ protections. You mentioned hot chocolate season. Today happens to be International Hot Cocoa Day.
well, perfect. Except for it's too warm. I mean, I'll probably still have some, but
But if you wanted to have a cup today, you have a reason you're celebrating.
Yeah.
Okay, back to LGBTQ protections because they deserve to have hot cocoa on International Hot Cocoa Day too.
Yeah. So we got the compromise bill, House Bill 142, that replaced HB 2, but it left a ban on cities crafting their own protections for gay people until December 1st. And it expired on December 1st, a couple weeks ago. And I'm not sure what happens next, but I guess that's up to the legislature. That's where it all came from. So they're out of session right now. I think they're out of session. Next time they go into session, do you think they would dare try to come up with anything? I mean, that was such a black eye.
Do I think they would dare? Yes.
Yes, of course they would.
I mean,
They're North Carolina Republicans. Of course, they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah. They're the ones who would use struggle bus to indicate a pejorative.
Yeah. But as we've been saying lately about some of the protests, like especially over in Alamance County, the whole world's watching you on this one. Everybody knows about good old North Carolina's bathroom bill.
I was traveling internationally at the time, and I had to explain our bathroom bill in countries that I could not believe were following North Carolina's internal politics.
So this bill was designed to protect you in particular as a female, and maybe younger versions of you as young female children.
Yeah,
from those nasty predator transgender people.
For whatever reason, and this I will never understand what gears were spinning in whose heads, these people believe that somebody inclined to commit rape also follows laws. As if rape itself wasn't illegal, and therefore they were gonna follow the rest of the laws, even if they didn't follow that one.
Okay.
It didn't make sense to me. Listen, It already says women on the bathroom. If you're going into the bathroom that says women on it and you don't identify as a woman, then you are already going, screw rules, I do what I want. What would more rules help with?
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I do not disagree. If someone, I mean, and the whole thing becomes, well, you heard a lot of sophistry. You heard a lot of people trying to twist the reality of the language and of the situation. Well, if I'm a guy and I want to mess with a woman, I want to rape a woman, I'll just declare myself to be transgendered. I'll say I identify.
Just open the door and go into the women's bathroom anyway. You don't need to declare yourself anything. Just open. It's a door. You literally can just grab the handle and pull. You don't need to. If you gonna put that much effort into it, honey, you already starting from a place of failure.
And are we casting aspersions on truly transgendered people because they're likely to do that?
I honestly have never met somebody who has gone through all that, because being transgender, there's a lot of struggle there. That is a situation that puts you firmly on the struggle bus. There's a lot of struggle there. You've got to, and there's a lot of checks toward it. The psychiatric associations, the psychological associations aren't just going to hand out hormone changing medications without being very sure that this is absolutely, because it's some of those body changes are irreversible. If you're doing all of that just to rape a person and you not just showing up at a bar at closing time and taking somebody home who's too drunk to see their own feet, you have picked hard mode in a way that makes me concerned about you. Like, we got problems here. Like I'm not saying that I don't think there is some person out there who is absolutely bananas enough to pick such an insane choice. But if what you want to do is rape somebody, there are easier, faster ways that require far less effort in order for you to get your win. And sweetheart, you should be wanting to take them.
So I believe your message to North Carolina Republicans is thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. I mean, North Carolina Republicans are just, I don't think that they have considered, like, it, not only thanks, but no thanks. Because again, their rules don't help. If somebody is going to fail to follow rules, they're also going to fail to follow these rules too. So it's not actually a protection. It's just another thing that you can get them for later in court. And honestly, I would much rather be unraped than raped, but also later when you prosecute them in court, you can say, and this one too. Like, that's not the outcome I want.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
But the other thing is, like, they clearly showed the limits of their imagination as criminals, because they were imagining situations that are just implausible.
Okay, so let's call it what it really is. It was totally disingenuous.
Yeah, no,
What's
it was value signaling.
What's their real motive? Where are they really coming from?
They were value signaling at the expense of North Carolina taxpayer money.
And at the expense of transgender people.
Yeah. And listen, have all the values you want, but I don't want to pay for your shit.
Yeah. So their value is what? Their value is God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And go ahead.
They don't like transgender people. Yeah, that's it. That's their value.
They assume that their reason,
the way you should be.
They assume that their reason for being transgendered is so they can go rape women.
I'm not even sure that is true. I think that was just a game that they were playing to try and see if we bought it, and we did not generally buy it because that's nonsense.
Okay, they just.
I think what it comes down to is, when I've talked with the true conservatives, they don't want to admit that their concept of God makes mistakes and is fallible. They have to go through all these mental gymnastics because they have to believe that their concept of God is always right, always.
And I guess then they couldn't come to the conclusion that it's not a mistake if someone is born
So,
with
so they are
male
also
parts.
the people who would, I think, and I keep calling it parable, and I have been corrected that it is not the parable, but it is the story of the person on the roof who is as the water is slowly rising, and first somebody comes by in a boat and they say, "No thanks, God'll save me," and the person in the boat goes away, and then the person comes by in the raft and they say, "No thanks, God'll save me," and the person in the raft goes away, and then the person in the helicopter comes by and they say, "No thanks, God'll save me," and then they drown. They end up in heaven. They're like, "God, why didn't you save me?" And God is like, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a raft. I sent you a helicopter.
Yeah, but
And you thought you knew better." So it's one of those cases where these are the same people who wouldn't get on the boat either. They cannot see their concept of God in the human existence. They need it to be something supernatural. They need it to be something metaphysical. Otherwise, it does not pass their sniff test as being divine.
plus that is kind of making laws based on religion,
Yes. Oh,
which
yeah.
we're
It's
not supposed to be
absolutely
doing.
absolutely making laws based on religion. Absolutely 100,000 million percent. They call it family values, but what it really is their religious values. It is not family values, because families don't all have the same values other than please don't die. And again, if they are imposing things on their concept of God, they are telling God how to be. Because they have an off ramp, and the off ramp is to go, you know what? It's not a mistake for somebody to be transgender. What happened is that they needed to go through that path of growing up this way and discovering they were that way and transitioning. Like, that's not a mistake. That is a divine plan. But they don't want to take that off ramp.
Yeah. And but they don't hate transgender people. They love them.
There is no hatred like Christian love.
I'm glad you went right there. I needed that.
There is no hatred like Christian love. I would like to bring up Exhibit A, the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
But there is no hatred like Christian love, man. The abortion clinics, no hatred like Christian love. Funerals, Westboro Baptist Church, no hatred like Christian love. Like, there are some people who don't know what the word love means. And they've got they say they pray to their God, but I'm pretty sure that their God specifically said, "Love the sinner, leave the rest to me," and they are doing no part of that.
No, we'll take care of things. We got this, God.
Yeah, they're like,
we're
God
pick it up for you.
said leave the rest to me, but I think I know better. Like, okay, you want to know better than God? You have fun with that.
Yeah.
It's just ego at that point. It's not even religion. It's just ego.
So, did you know the actress Ellen Page?
I am familiar with the name. I cannot say that I have seen any of her work.
Yeah, the most famous film, I guess, it's 2008, so it may not be the most recent, was Juno.
Yeah, yes, and she's now a he.
Yeah.
Is transgender, and this has made everybody super duper mad. But I also didn't see, like I said, I'm not familiar with Ellen Page's work. It wasn't my style.
Yeah, I knew aware of her name enough, and I don't think I'd seen her in anything. And then when I saw the story that says she has come out as Elliot Page, is the name she's chosen for her male persona, is enough that I was aware that there was somebody there. There was something behind it. I kind of wonder. It'll be interesting to see if he gets movies again. Probably, but because Hollywood is pretty enlightened these days. But that'll be interesting to see what happens with that career at that point in someone's life. That's he's not that old, and not 70 or something like me. So it's not really late stage. It's just kind of mid-adult.
I would like E-Pain, whether E-Pain was Ellen or whether E-Pain is Elliot, to have a great life and the most happiness. And if that means acting, so be it. And if it doesn't, if they want to transition into being a career in something else, because I believe it's been a while since they've been in any particular acting role. You don't have to be an actor. Do you?
Yeah. And maybe he's not interested in doing that anymore, or maybe he is. We'll see. Be interesting. Oxford's 2020 word of the year is unprecedented. And
Welcome to the pandemic, my friends.
That's not the word. That's not the word. It is the fact of it. What the word is an unprecedented situation, because it's not one word at all. It's a bunch of words and a bunch of phrases inspired by the pandemic, including the word pandemic. That's one of the words of the year. Also, coronavirus. So this is an article in the New York Times written by Jennifer Schussler. I got that pronounced anywhere close to right?
That is the way I would have pronounced it.
Yeah. As I write cleverly here myself, she pulled out all the stops and her thesaurus to write the story. The opening paragraph, Oxford Language's annual word of the year is usually a tribute to the protean creativity of English and the reality of constant linguistic change, throwing a spotlight on zeitgeist neologisms like selfie, vape, and unfriend. I probably pronounced half of those words wrong.
I like neologisms. Again,
right?
I listen to a linguistics podcast as well. It's called Grammar Girl. In a previous episode of Triangle Talk Show, I couldn't remember the name of it, but it is called Grammar Girl. It is a linguistics podcast. It's lots of fun. I like neologisms. And that all that means is that it is a new term. Maybe not for a new concept, but it is a new term.
Yep.
Like selfie is not a new concept. People used to do self-portraits all the time. But selfie is a new term. It's a neologism.
Yep. So here's some of the words that are making the cut. Blur's Day, which I had not heard of, but Blur's Day, when all the days of the week blend together. Covidiots. We know who they are. Doom scrolling, which a term I hadn't mentioned here. I spend way too much time rolling through Facebook. I'm surprised. Look up and, I've been doing this for 90 minutes. Yikes. I guess that's doom scrolling. I don't think it's all looking for bad stuff necessarily, or is it? You don't have to look for bad stuff. You just scroll because you have a sense of doom, and scrolling is something to do. Like you can't concentrate on something else. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. The use of the term pandemic increased more than 57,000% since last year. That's
because people finally knew what the word meant.
Yep. Coronavirus has become one of the most common English nouns. Social justice words, including Black Lives Matter, Juneteenth, decolonize, and allyship, a word I'd not heard of. They surged dramatically starting in May amid the protests.
Well, that's because Juneteenth is in June.
Yeah. And
I would expect that Juneteenth would surge near its holiday time.
Yep. The article notes that those words, the increases in those words were notable, but they were nowhere near the pandemic-related terms. Other words have been displaced. Frequency of the word climate, is in climate change, something we'd all been very concerned about. It plunged almost 50%. It's starting to rebound. It probably will come back.
I mean, let's face it, climate change still exists. It got a little bump toward not being catastrophic by the fact that we all stayed home. And just by being home, we were able to make climate healthy decisions.
Yeah. And it got pushed off the front page. There's just so much other stuff.
Well, because the Republicans were busy denying something else besides climate change for once.
It'll be back. So speaking of phrases, the phrase grandfather clause, not Santa Claus's dad's dad. Grandfather clause. Did you know it was racist?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you know before I put it in the doc?
No, there are a couple of other ones that are racist as well. Legal terms. Yeah. Because, the law It has some racist crap in there. And then they get neologisms because of that, and then those stick around. I mean, the grandfather clause is racist because the law from which it came was racist, and it had to do with slavery. It was a bad time, but that's where the clause came from.
Yeah, but what I pulled from the article I got this from is the term originated post-Reconstruction, so the second half of the 19th century, when southern states imposed poll taxes and literacy tests, but exempted people whose grandfathers had been allowed to vote during the Confederacy.
But only in the Confederacy, yeah.
And those people very specifically would have been poor, illiterate, white men.
Yep, they couldn't afford the poll tax. They can't pass a literacy test, but hey, their grandfather could vote in the Confederacy, so they're going to definitely be a white dude.
Yep. So I think the term lost that connection decades ago, at least, for me.
Yeah, because even then, what the term was used in a general sense. It wasn't used specifically to refer to only the old dead white grandfathers of the Confederacy. It was just used to refer to an exception that was made to a law.
Right. And I'm sure I've been using it all my life. So the question is, should we cancel that word now? That phrase?
Nah. I think we should redefine it.
Because the article I got, or the sense that I got from this article, didn't specifically advocate canceling it. But
no, because we do need a shortcut term for this concept. We do. And grandfather clause is as good as any, and I think teaching the history of it along with the term is important to help us know that laws can be racist, horrible things too. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. I've said this a million times.
Okay, so we're going to keep grandfather clause, but we are now going to understand where it came from. We're going to grandfather in grandfather clause.
Well, because when you know better, you do better, right? If we don't know, then how can we do better?
Okay.
If we try and hide the bits of uncomfortable history that make us white folks uncomfortable about our slavery racist past, then what we're doing is we're making ourselves ignorant so that we can repeat that. I don't think that I have ever seen anybody asking for a lack of education, except for white people who are uncomfortable. What I think I've seen is for a lack of veneration. And nobody's venerating this. And I can't say nobody. We better not be venerating this. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, they certainly weren't doing that. I did get the impression that they would have sort of liked to see the idea that we replace it with something else, but I don't think that's going to happen. So just let's let people know where this came from. Win a bar bet. So shall we go back to more fun and fantasy?
Sure.
And watch some YouTube videos.
You're going for another takedown. I like it. Okay. Bold of you, Gary.
Gonna try.
Not playback. It's not playback. It's just recording. Okay.
So, I guess before they start doing what they're going to do for the audio audience, can you describe what you're seeing on the screen?
There is a guy with an harmonica, I think, although I've never seen an harmonica, so it might not be. But it is glasses with drinking glasses of various sizes with varying amounts of water in it, and he is touching the rims of the glasses with his middle fingers. So I'm quite sure that he is going to be playing these glasses, but I also think that the name of such an instrument is the harmonica, Armonica, which was attributed to Ben Franklin as being the inventor.
Never heard that name. I haven't, and probably you have. You get a water glass at a restaurant and you run your finger around the rim, and eventually, if you do things right, it starts to sing, and the amount of water you have in it can determine the pitch. So that's what we're looking at here, and I knew what I was looking at when I saw it. I was not expecting what I was about to hear.
There is a bald gentleman and a woman with the cutest pixie cut ever.
So when I heard them start to do this, I was, oh my God. They're doing this on glasses of water.
Yes, you can be really good at anything that makes music.
Can you imagine tuning all of those in the first place? Because they're volatile. First of all,
Yep.
there's evaporation. Then you got to bump things or not bump things.
While we are listening to the Sugar Plum Fairy from Tchaikovsky, which is part of the Nutcracker Suite, I would like to mention that yesterday was the live taping, or the live show from Deepak from New Jersey, but through Deepak, of the Hip Hop Nutcracker. And you can still get in on the replay tickets. You can no longer see the live play tickets, which were the cheaper ones, but you can still get in on the replay tickets. And if you want something other than ballet, you can watch some sweet hip hop moves with all of like the break dancing and the popping and locking that you ever wanted, to Tchaikovsky's original Nutcracker Suite music, and it is a glorious sight to behold. And if you need your ballet to Nutcracker, there is coming up a free Nutcracker that will be released on YouTube for about a week. Coming up in, I think, 2 weeks' time. And I forget who's doing that, but I have been following the performing arts scene and how they are finally figuring out how to monetize live performance to keep themselves going.
So not only do you have to put this thing together and tune it, you have to learn how to play it
Yep.
with two people.
They did a fabulous job, just absolutely fabulous. I adore watching masters of their craft because they make it look effortless.
It's not something I would have expected anybody to have figured out how to do that well. It is the Glass Duo, GLASSDUO -Glass Harp. That's the YouTube channel. And they do a lot of songs. They have a whole bunch of songs that they do pretty much with this. What did you call it?
Harmonica. I think they called it a glass harp, but the term that I learned it under was harmonica. And Ben Franklin.
Okay, so it's been around for a while, apparently. That not as new a device as I thought it might be. They got 52,000 subscribers. I'm not sure I can find the one I was looking at. Not as many views as I would expect from any of these either. I mean, they're in the thousands and the fives of thousands and tens of thousands, but they're not getting the millions. But they should. We'll help them out too. And then finally, this last one is purely visual. It's got music to it. It's going to get us the takedown. But it's the visual aspect is what it's all about. The music we're going to hear is Aha's "Take on Me," which is not a Christmas song and not a
Fun trivia fact, this is my favorite song in the world, is Aha's "Take on Me." My favorite song.
Then you're going to enjoy this, and you're going to enjoy getting to describe what it is that we are looking at.
So we are seeing a Christmas light show from somebody's front yard. You can barely make out their garage in the corner. And I'm trying to decide, as I'm describing this to you, whether this is one of those like laser projection light shows or if this is actually timing individual light bulbs. Because I know that
I can see them a little better than you can. They are LED light bulbs.
Okay. Yeah, they sell, in case you want to pull off something like this, they sell for like $5 this projector that you can just stick in the front of your yard and put an MP3 on. and it will just aim at your house and make your house look like this with way less effort.
Yeah, I don't think it would be nearly as bright as what we're looking at.
It depends on how dark your night is.
So this is a little Christmas tree that's doing the singing in one window. And then a couple more little Christmas trees show up for the harmony. And
this has got to be either West Coast lights or Northeastern lights, because this is definitely not traditional Southern lights where you put the single candle in the window and call it good.
Nope. This guy goes nuts doing this. And the thing.
There's a giant Christmas tree in the front yard that only shows up in the chorus.
Yep. One thing I don't have a good handle on is how automated the programming of this can be. If every little move in every little light had to be manually programmed, that was a huge amount of work. If you could put together some artificial intelligence or something that would have...
I'm sure at this point there's artificial intelligence that can handle this, because it looks like they have many different sizes of snowflake, and then multiples of these tiny, tiny Christmas trees, and there are multiples of these half hula hoops where you just see a light chasing back and forth, and the garage door appears to have a projector aimed at it, which is doing just an equalizer. And then the Christmas trees in the windows appear to have only 3 positions for its mouth. I'm fairly certain that it's got to be a kit that you can put together and just load up a song. Maybe even have to choose from their existing selections of songs.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy did it from a kit that somebody else put together, or whether this is famous because he did it. There are a few others in different locations that have it, but for this one guy, he's got these videos for I don't know, half a dozen or more songs, maybe a dozen or more. But it's super fun to watch.
It is.
And for those of you,
light shows to music are always fun to watch. This is why I go to concerts. Well, why I went to concerts. Why, before the pandemic, concerts were a thing I might have considered going to. Because not because I wanted to see Lindsey Sterling on a stage performing, because I honestly would have had a better view of Lindsey Sterling if I watched her on a YouTube video, but because of the light show that they did.
And so this is one of your favorite songs?
My favorite song.
Your absolute favorite song?
Absolute favorite song.
Okay, well then I have another treat for you. If I can dial it up fast enough here on the YouTube, it's going to take me a moment.
And the thing that I like about Take On Me is the arpeggio. Take on me. That particular note progression.
So do you like covers of it as well?
Provided that they don't change that, because I've heard some covers that have tried to change that note progression. I really like that original note progression. I also like it in, and I can tell it in other things. It was in Bulletproof by LaRue. It was in something about a horse. I can't remember the name of the song. It is that particular 3 notes.
So here's a different take on the song. The group is called Lake Street Dive. And the guy who plays the trumpet, not all that well, but better than I did when I played it.
They've moved this into a minor key.
So they are a quartet, I think. It's a singer, a drummer,
a bass player,
woman playing the upright bass, and then a guy who is playing the trumpet, but he plays multiple.
I see somebody on keyboard as well.
So it's five people. So what's your take on this take on Me?
It's nice, but it's not hitting my ear happy place, which is those particular notes I wanted.
That's this part here, but they're just not doing it.
Oh no, they got it. Take me up. They got the right notes.
So the trumpet solo, I don't know about that.
You don't like jazz?
I do. I don't like freeform jazz all that much. So yeah, I guess what it says here is that it gets a swinging tribute. And so yeah, they're just adding the jazz swing to it a little bit.
They moved parts of it to a minor key. They've got this back, though.
I didn't notice that.
See, she didn't hit that note cleanly. You moved that note to a flatter note. So that doo-doo has to be, it's E.
Getting it now, right?
It is an E. That note is E, and she is not doing E.
This might have been take one and not take two or take three, and so they end it here.
They've got a multiple camera setup, so I'm thinking that they meant this one to be production.
Yeah, it just kind of falls apart here at the end. They're all standing around waiting for him to finish. And he's done. Okay, so the group is called Lake Street Dive. And they also do a lot of covers. I don't like all the things they do, but they do them all very well. Just not all is my kind of music, but a bunch of it is. And we have reached the witching hour once again, 6 o'clock.
Yes. Well, thank you for another show.
We always have fun. Somehow we managed to fill 2 hours of jazz and conversation.
Indeed.
That, by the way, is the Mount Belzoni thing. That's from the song. It's now my brain has turned to mush. Donald Fagen, The Nightfly. I'm Lester the Nightfly. Hello, Baton Rouge. Will you turn your radio down? Jazz and conversation from the foot of Mount Belzoni. And that's exactly what we did. Jazz and conversation. He's outside of Baton Rouge. There's no mountain in Baton Rouge. There are as many mountains on the edge of Baton Rouge as there are on the north side of Cary. And on that, I hang my head for the Mount Belzoni. And that is it. Oh, yes, I'm supposed to do things like this. Here you are.
I'm Jen, also host of NannyCast.
I'm Gary Pierce. Still haven't changed my Activish. Someday I probably will. Maybe I won't. Episode 126 for December 13th. Jen's grandfather's 109th? 8th would have been birthday. Holiday on Ice. That is it for this episode of The Triangle Talk Show. Over.
And out.